Alrighty, we are back in the second part of the RTX 5070 in Requiem. We are at 4K, and as you can see, with path tracing set to normal, everything is completely maxed out. We are right around 38 FPS. Now we are on DLAA, so we're not doing any upscaling right now. And I've started in this area out here because you can appreciate the path tracing a little bit more. We got a lot of puddles, so this is why I've started a new game with it. So yes, kind of why I broke it up into two parts. Path tracing is definitely a whole different animal. We saw earlier, I'll link it up here, that this game runs exceptionally well. So right here with 41 FPS on normal path tracing, let's jump in here and just go down to see what a little bit of an upscale would do, and then test out some scaling with that path tracing set, you know, at different levels. So let's come down here and just crank it down to quality. All right, so this is a quality upscale on normal path tracing. All right, so give it a second. We're still at 26 FPS. Okay, there we go. We're waking back up. Sometimes the settings don't immediately start to take effect. So at 42, 61, all right, so there we go. It looks like we've actually got real settings now. So 63 FPS, that makes a lot more sense. Right here with normal path tracing, yeah, we are at a pretty good little performance here. So let's see what some more path tracing can do. I'm not sure if it's going to make me restart or not, but I'm just going to double check it. So let's come into options here, come over to graphics, and let's see, where is path tracing, ray tracing, whatever you want to call it here. It's set to normal. I need to go ahead and do it in the actual menu, so I'm going to quit and come back, and I'll be right back. All right, so we're back in it here. We've gone up to high ray tracing, and we're still on that quality preset, so it seems to me that you are going to need a little bit more DLSS with any sort of ray tracing on, which is fine, honestly, because without ray tracing, you don't even need upscaling in this title. It runs so well. So right here, we're about 50 FPS or so. Let's go ahead and jump up to that very next level of upscaling and see what we can do there. So we're going to go to a balanced setting. Let's come into here and go to graphics and come down here. So you have to make these changes in the main menu before you start your saved game. So just a little heads up there. That's what I have to keep backing out and doing. So let's come into here. Let's go to a balanced setting here and come back out of it. So right here, now notice we are really struggling on VRAM. Let's give it a second. Let's make sure that we get a good reading here, because it takes it a minute to actually start to catch up once these settings start to settle in. So that gives us back to almost a 60 FPS experience. Now our spilled VRAM did go back down. It looks like it used it a lot before we could, you know, kind of jump into, you know, the setting that when it took place, like when it kind of locked in. So this part right here is a story element, so I'm going to actually skip this and then be right back. All right, so we're back into it. So this is kind of where we investigated earlier in my previous video, and it ran really well. So right here in these in this more open environment, you're still very similar to what you were running out there on the street, a little bit better. It's a little bit less open, so that kind of makes sense. So I'm going to kick on some path tracing. Since we're right around 60 with no frame generation, this kind of, you know, it gives me a pretty good feeling. So I'm going to do that now, and then I'm going to come back and we'll go inside and see how it runs. Okay, this is looking really good. Oh man, path tracing. Oh, there's nothing like it. Yeah, we're at 28 FPS, but who cares? I mean, we're going to fix it though, so just stay tuned. We're going to get it to run well. So right here, we don't have any frame generation turned on, full path tracing with every other setting completely maxed out. Anisotropic filtering is at like X16, so we're really punishing this GPU right now. And we're holding on okay. I mean, our allocated VRAM is high. The game is saying, give me all the VRAM you have. It's going like all your base are belong to us on the VRAM. But right here, we're not spilling, so that's a good sign. Now, we do need to crank down the upscaling a little bit. So we need to go to performance. So let's jump into it and let's see what performance looks like. You know, again, if you want to see everything without path tracing, I have another video. I'll link it in the description But I split these up because path tracing is kind of its own animal here. All right, so let's come into here and go to a performance upscale. All right, so we are on DLSS 4 right now. There's a driver that had to be rolled back. They're fixing it, I guess, but right now that's why you're not seeing the SR override showing up at all. So right here we are at 21 FPS. Let's give it a minute and see what we can expect on performance. I don't want to trigger that cutscene quite yet. I want to stay out here where we're able to kind of see what it runs like without any sort of interruption here. So it looks super good, though. I mean, yeah, you're at 21 FPS, but it still looks really great. I'm just giving it some time to see if we can actually make a determination, say that like this is definitely how it's going to run. So let's go to ultra performance, and we might have to sacrifice path tracing or some of these things down here, just because they are also kind of intensive if you want to run path tracing. Let's go to ultra performance and let's back out. All right, so ultra performance gives you a little bit of an uptick. All right, so we're at 52, 53 FPS on ultra performance. This is kind of making me wonder if performance just didn't take, you know, or whatever. So let's see. I'm just going to see what ultra performance looks like real quick, just to kind of rule that out, because I want to make sure that we're getting everything in here that we need to get in here. It's probably turned on frame generation. I bet that. No, it didn't. Okay. All right, so let's go to performance. So we're definitely on performance now. Whew, okay, so performance still just doesn't do it. You just get a lot more when you're on ultra performance. Damn, that's kind of rough. I mean, we were doing a little better. Okay, there we go. All right. So this game is weird. It's taken some time to kind of get those settings in there. So at 31 FPS, on performance, which is kind of as low as I would want to go on DLSS 4 because things start to get a little blurry, I would probably say that just doing some frame generation from here might not be a bad idea. You are really suffering with your VRAM, though. It's really, you know, it's taking a hit here. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to look at a little bit of additional settings we can kind of back off of. So let's go to a 2x frame gen on top of performance, and that should improve things a little bit. We're still at 40 FPS, and you know, of course, we need to wait, make sure that we have a good reading here, because this game really likes to take its time with these settings. But yeah, we're at 38 FPS here with 2x frame gen. So I know this is painful, and it's probably like, why is he taking so long? I just want to make sure that we are getting exactly the setting to apply here, because it's creeping up a little bit. So we're now at 45, 43. Latency's high, though. I mean, 100 milliseconds is pretty high. Now, granted, Grace's section is kind of slow, but Leon's section is a little bit more action-oriented. So I would probably say you could either just do frame generation to your heart's content, or you could come in here and work on some of these settings that I have like really maxed out. So let's bring this down to 2, and let's see what that does. Let's do screen space reflections. We're on path tracing, so that doesn't really need to be on. Let's go with subsurface set to low. Lens distortion, that's not really a thing that matters too much. So let's check these settings out, just kind of backing it down. Now, volumetric fog, let's go low on that. And let's go shadow quality to normal. And let's see what these settings do. I'm going to try again to give you guys, yeah, I mean, we got a nice little uptick there. All right, so we're at 60 FPS now with just some of those settings back down. We're still able to enjoy some path tracing. And this is 60 FPS, and we are looking like still pretty high on our latency, but it's still around controller acceptable levels. We are at 66 milliseconds of PCL there. So honestly, this ain't a bad way to play it if you want to go 4K with path tracing. Just, you got to back down a few things, you know, like you saw earlier. So what I want to do now is come in here and just start working on our frame generation and see if we can get it to be like a little bit more smoothed out. So let's come into here and come all the way down to frame gen. All right, there's so many different so many different levels to these new menus. It takes forever to learn where to go and what to do. So upscaling technology, that's what I'm looking for. Let's go 3x. All right, so let's go 3x here and see how smooth it is. Now we're going to add latency with the exchange of having smoothness. All right, so I'm going to keep going. I'm going to trigger this cutscene so we can see kind of like the inside of the building a little bit more with this path tracing on, because I feel like that's going to be where path tracing just really takes off at, because those shadows in there, man, they are pretty intense. I'm going to go ahead and skip this. All right, so we're still looking good. Let's see if she's got a little bit of speed to her. She's kind of slow, but we're looking pretty good, though. I mean, our PCL's in the 50s now. We got 115 FPS. Let's go ahead and crouch under this. So this ain't a bad way to play it either. You've got a very acceptable PCL with frame generation, which is something that makes me happy. That's really good. All right, so 108 FPS here, so 110. So you could definitely get away with it. You know, like I said, just back down on some of those settings. You could probably even go up a little bit on your anisotropic filtering, which will help some things out, especially when it comes to things at high angles and whatnot. So let's go 8 on that. That's typically, this is diminishing returns. 2 is low. As you go up, when you get 8, 16, it's kind of like not that big of a deal. So I'm going to leave all this kind of as it were here. So let's leave all this on and back out. And let's see what that did. All right, so it didn't really cost us too much, and we were able to get a little bit more fidelity back. Our PCL is still looking really good, though. Let's go ahead and jump into here. Go ahead and kick my light on. All right, so path tracing is doable. You just have to, of course, set your expectations. But right here with the flashlight on, I just want to see kind of how it ran. All right, looking really good, though. You could lock this depending on, you know, what your refresh is. But, you know, if you're on like 60 or 120 hertz, this wouldn't be a bad way to play it and just lock it to 120. I don't think there's anything in here. No, there's nothing in here. All right, so yeah, and there's like something in there. I'm not going to worry about it. Let's just go ahead and jump through here. All she does here is just kind of like looks through the window and works up her courage to go in there. That's all that really happens. So let's keep on going here. All right, so I need to read the investigation report, and let's just go ahead and get that prompt to go away. Yeah, everything looks good. This scared the shit out of me last time when those things came down. Oh man, I freaked out like a little baby when that happened. All right, so all this looks really good. 124 FPS. So I'm just going to think, like, what other settings could we possibly look at here with everything kind of cranked up. So we are on path tracing. We are looking good as far as upscaling goes. I would say anisotropic filtering at 8 or X8 is fine. Screen space reflections, you have path tracing on, so that's not the biggest deal, but I'll just kick it on. Subsurface scattering, let's leave that on high again. I'm just trying to claw back a little bit of that fidelity now that we are on some pretty decent looking settings. The volumetric fog, I feel like, does a lot to your performance. We'll go normal on that just to see. Shadow quality, you know, if you really want to worry about shadow quality, there you go. But like, look at the difference of VRAM usage. And all you have to give up is just like the smoothness around the shadows, and really between normal and high, it's just different. It's not like the biggest deal. So I'm just going to leave that on normal. Contact shadows, you get a little bit, you know, I love when they show you what it does. Over here on your rocks and stuff, you get a little bit more modeling to it. It's like a little bit more depth with shadowing. So you can leave that on. Ambient occlusion, that's going to be a pretty heavy hitter. As you can see, the VRAM usage here that it's estimating. So we can go with probably, I would probably say normal is good. VFX, that's, you know, the quality. You can leave that on low, that's fine. All right, let's see what we got. So we're still on 3X. Let's take a look at this latency. All right, so path tracing, 3X. Let's jump into here, all right? We got to look at this key, take the key. All right, old key. Oh man, what's going on? I've played through this once, but the first time was incredibly freaky. Okay, so she like gets real nervous, works up her courage and that kind of stuff. We're gonna go ahead and skip this. I don't want to ruin anything, but now we're back in it. So let's go into this room here and see what we can do. Let's grab the key. Good deal. But this is probably a good way to play it. I'm on 3x right now. I have my path tracing cranked up, and you know, all the settings that I just ran through is probably where I would keep it. And you're getting 51 milliseconds of latency, and you have 114 FPS. So this has been kind of a path tracing look. You know, I really don't want to ruin anything for you guys. This part right here is so freaking creepy. But yeah, this has been Resident Evil on a RTX 5070, and yeah, path tracing only kind of review, ray tracing, path tracing. So you can definitely do it 4K with a 5070. This game runs exceptionally well. Just, you know, mind my settings and, you know, do it according to what you kind of feel like. But that's what I would do. All right, so we will see you in the very next video. I've got the 9070 XT coming out next for Resident Evil Week. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you look out for those videos. Hit the bell. That way you won't miss them. And we're going to have a frighteningly good week. All right, we'll see you later. Peace.